真空 What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the One Hit Combo Comic Book Podcast. My name is Koopa, and I'm here with my guy, System Psycho.
What's going on, people?
And Josh.
What's up?
And I guess we're going to chat about a couple of these trailers that recently came out, and we're going to talk about this new Black Panther comic book. Now, I haven't got a chance to read this damn Black Panther comic book because I went to 3 different goddamn comic book shops and it was nowhere to be found.
Are you serious?
Nowhere. And they were like, yeah, we all got extra copies and gone. It was like, they're like, people who don't read comics were coming up in here buying them, and it was just like everybody wanted this comic book. And I was just like, well, god damn, I ain't seen some shit like this in a long time.
They released it at the right time because Civil War's coming out in 3 weeks.
Oh,
Black
of course.
Panther's appearing in that.
Well, remember they redid Ant-Man and released it right before Ant-Man came out too, and people was running to the shelves for that. So I mean, it's a great tactic.
Yeah,
but it sucks for niggas that actually want to read the fucking book. There's just none there, man. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So you want to start off with talking about Black Panther?
Yeah, let's talk about Black Panther. And since Sir Josh over here is the only person that happens to have a copy, we'll defer to you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things though that like you were saying, like they were talking about how people that don't read comics are going out to get it, and that's really because Ta-Nehisi Coates is the writer of this, and it's the first time that he's written a comic book,
What has he done before?
He's a civil justice writer for The Atlantic. So he writes articles on race issues. And
really?
Yeah. He's
that's interesting. Like, what made him do comics?
I don't know, but he's a great writer. I'll tell you that. I mean, he's an amazing writer. And, so I was definitely interested in seeing what his take on the character was going to be.
Yeah.
The storyline is cool. It takes place like right after Thanos is pretty much kind of decimated Wakanda, and then they defeated Thanos, which was the story arc before. His sister takes over the rule of the land.
Was that in Infinity?
No, I think wasn't that after Infinity?
I don't know. I didn't even know.
It's been a while since because I picked up the Infinity with you.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I read so much in between there. But basically his sister took over as the ruler, and now Wakanda's it's pretty much like under distress. And so he's coming back in to take rule back over.
Oh yeah, this is like a first for Wakanda because it's the only country in Africa to never be like conquered or to be colonized or anything like that.
Colonized, right? And so that's why it was a big deal when Thanos came and tried to colonize it.
Wow.
So it's a really good setup, and I think the plot is really good. For me personally, the writing style is a little too long-winded for the amount of action that's going on in the book.
I got you.
And, issue number 1, I mean, all you guys that are out there that read comics and are listening to this, you all know, I mean, you guys know this too. Issue number 1s for Marvel are usually the big books.
They're always extra long.
Yeah, they push them
$5
out
range.
there. Yeah, exactly. Hit that $4.99 price point. But yeah, I mean, he's a terrific writer. He really is. So, it's nothing against the writing at all. It's just that it's a very action-based book for an issue number 1, and it has a lot of dialogue to go along with it. So it's something that you got to get used to.
Well, I mean, if you're a comic book lover, there's always a lot of fucking dialogue in issue 1.
Yeah.
So I mean,
even
that's
in
kind
of older comics, I say from like 70s and 80s. They have a lot of dialogue, and what's funny is because comics now they don't have as much as they used to, man.
No,
so, but you saying that has a lot of that's like a throwback right there.
Yeah, exactly. Like comic books actually took you like a half hour a piece to read and shit back in the
bullshit.
day.
Yeah. Now the artwork in this I like a lot, and the guy Brian Stelfreeze, I only know of his work because he did the Shadow of the Bat series for DC.
Okay.
He used to do the cover art for it, and he did a lot of really good looking covers for it. I had to look up to see what other stuff that he did, and the only other thing like that that stood out, because I don't remember this, maybe you guys will, but there was a Domino miniseries.
Okay, yeah.
And he was the artist for that Domino miniseries. So I don't know if that was like the first if that was the first book that he just didn't do cover arts and whatever, or if this is the first book that he did cover.
I mean, the cover art for this shit is badass.
Sorry, what was his name again? What was
his name is Brian Stelfreeze.
And actually, speaking of cover art, I don't know who did the alternate for that joint, but dog, it's the hip hop variant is the black album Jay-Z joint. Right. That joint is so disgusting. Like, if you have not seen that yet, go look that up right now. It looks just like the album cover. It's so sick.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's it's one of those things that for me, I think that it's an iconic book, so I think everyone should run out and pick it up. But I can already tell you that it's going to be a generational thing. Like people like us that kind of grown up through decades of comics, we can deal with the dialogue like you guys were saying. I think some of the younger kids that are going to come out and get this.
What the hell is this? Reading?
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck out of here.
I got this for the pictures.
I mean, the tone of the book's pretty serious then, right?
Yeah. I mean, it is. Like, it's an issue 1. There's
of
a lot of shit going on.
I mean, the shit that's going on in Wakanda, I mean, that's just serious in itself. So obviously, of course, you're going to get a wordy comic that is probably mad political and all type of other crazy junk going on.
And
so
the art goes well with it, like the tone.
Yeah, the art goes. The art.
See, that's always a big thing with me because I recently, I mean, I'm not really going to talk about it just because it's an old series, but like I guess the X-Men series, I think it came out in like 2012 or whatever, where it's like the full like female team with the Vampire Jubilee, Psylocke, M, and Rachel Grey or whatever her name is now. Like I've been reading that joint, and like the art in that joint is fantastic. Sometimes it's fucking terrible. But the story is good, so that's always will keep me coming back for that. Right. But like, I can't stand it when like the story is really, really, really awesome, and then the art is just complete trash,
garbage.
It's just like why am I even like even if the story could be the best fucking story in the goddamn world, but I'm never reading that goddamn Squirrel book, the Squirrel Girl comic book. That joint looks like it's animated for like 5-year-olds. It's freaking terrible, man.
Honestly, that shit looks like someone did like sketch work.
Yeah, it is.
Someone just put sketch work on
so
it.
Stupid.
That joint look like some basic shit you see on Nick Jr. Day.
And the thing is like I'm okay with like. I'm not like one of these people that it's got to be like a traditional comic book style because, like, for instance, Sanford Green, who's doing the Power Man and Iron Fist, like we were talking about that, I guess the last one that we did. His art style is kind of sketchy. He does like a sketch based type style, and I love it. I think it works really good for that book.
I think that style might go better for different characters though.
Yeah.
So for like the X-Men, it's probably not going to be a good thing, but for like Luke Cage and them, that would be great for him.
It works, but Brian Stelfreeze does a good job. I'm excited to see where this story goes. Like I said, the plot's good, the writing. I mean, Coates is an awesome writer, so I'm excited to see what he does with it. I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe it is like the first time writing a comic book, what I mean? And also too, like generationally, he's closer to my age at least, and so, maybe that's the thing. Maybe he's used to reading comics from that era and he wants to kind of bring that style back. I don't know what it is, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
I had to take a look at that giant. Going back to the whole art thing, right? So with me, if it's a serious book, I think the art should be very serious. And look very good and detailed. If it's more like a Rocket Raccoon, I think it should be like what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's
it's got to be funny. I mean, like you can flip through and see.
Like this looks pretty straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That looks good. At least from where I can see it is,
right?
Right.
But I have a very me and another friend. We used to follow the new Thunderbolts, where it had like Thunderbolt Ross and it had like Punisher and Elektra and Deadpool and Ghost Rider and Venom. That's like an awesome team. Christ. You're like, damn, that's like an awesome team, right? But then the artist was this guy named Steve Dillon, who I think is fucking garbage, dude. Like, this guy can't draw for shit. And what's funny is, like, within the comic book world, like, fans and stuff, they consider this guy, like, I don't know, they love his art because he used to do Preacher. And I've looked at his Preacher stuff, and it looks good, but now it's just, like, fucking trash, dude. And it just doesn't go well with what is going on in the book, dude.
What it is, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that always, like I said, that always sucks.
Yeah, it is. It's hit or miss. Now, the one thing that I can say that I like about Black Panther being a popular character right now is that now all the archives are coming out. Because when I was there to look, when I went to the comic shop to pick this book up, they had like a huge display. I mean, I went to Third Eye. And they have tons of issues all over the place.
That's actually where all three places sent me. They were like, "You go to Third Eye and either Frederick or on Annapolis." I was like, "Fuck no, I'm not driving all the way out there."
They have tons of copies of it, but they have the volume 1 and the volume 2 of the omnibus. So and I think that's great. I think it's good for characters like that. I mean, it's kind of funny because we didn't talk about it on the show, but we've talked about it amongst ourselves, and it's kind of funny that politically and societally what's going on, in American culture, if you will. Everyone always talks about the diversity in comic books, and Luke Cage and Black Panther comic characters that we grew up with, as a kid, and we loved it, just like Bishop and stuff like that.
Storm,
So for us, Storm. So for us, it's like, being true comic book fans, there wasn't really the diversity issue because we kind of read and we figured out who we liked and who we didn't like.
True. But I mean, I will say that they're like just being a minority myself and like being not trained to really like want to go towards all the minority styled stuff in everything that I'm into.
Right.
But like at the same time, it's like, we actually did have some diverse heroes growing up. But when you think about it, versus how the heroes are diverse now.
I know.
Like, I look at the X-Men back in the day, and, like, my core team of X-Men, most of them were white.
Yep.
Really? One was white Canadian. I mean, Wolverine is white Canadian. Cyclops and Jean, both white. Xavier is white. Gambit is white, although he has French influence. He's still fucking American white, technically.
Right.
Rogue, Southern white. Like, everybody was fucking white. Now, Psylocke was an interesting conundrum because she started off British and then became Japanese British.
Yep.
So, I mean, that was always okay, we had a different look on the X-Men there.
Right.
It was, I don't think they got their first black X-Men until Bishop. I mean, Storm, of course, Storm. But, like, after Storm, like, when Storm came out in the 70s, so the next black X-Men that was there was Bishop in the 90s. Like, how many years was fucking Storm the only black X-Men? You know what I'm saying? And even of all the students that came to that school, they had a Native American, they had a Vietnamese girl, they had, Russian, she's white, a Brazilian, but no other black person. Like, like in America, y'all couldn't find one other black mutant. Like, that's what I was. That's
what about like Generation X?
Generation X did change that. They had
Sync
skin.
was black.
Yeah.
M, what was M?
M was Moroccan, I believe she was.
Chamber was
but
British.
I mean, if you look at it, when the teams got younger, they got more diverse.
Okay.
Like the New Mutants, they were from more places in the world, and there was more color than there was on the X-Men. Like the X-Men were scattershotted from around the world, yes, but at the same time, the majority of them were still white. So, like no matter where they were from. Now the New Mutants, like I said, you had the Vietnamese in Karma.
Yeah.
You had Brazilian Sunspot. And you had
Danny Moonstar,
who was Native American. That was really the color spectrum of that team.
Yeah.
You go to Generation X, which is the next team of youth. Then you've got the Moroccan, technically African. You've got Latino. You've got an actual African American. So like that team was definitely more diverse. I'm trying to remember all the other people on that team right now. Jubilee was actually Chinese.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, like, that team was very, very diverse, and it's literally throughout the years, as you go, like every 5 to 10 years, the teams get a little more diverse and people move in. I mean, I remember for the Avengers, the first time I saw when I started reading Avengers West Coast, and I found out there was the Living Lightning. I was like, this nigga was Mexican. I was like, what? There was a Mexican Avenger? Are you serious?
Living Lightning.
I mean, Falcon was. I think Falcon was the first Black Avenger. Besides T'Challa.
What was about Captain? There's so many captains, but Captain Marvel, or is it Captain Universe? That she was like an African American chick.
Her name was Captain Marvel. She was one of the people that had Captain Marvel. I don't remember what her current name is now, but she could. I remember she had pretty tight powers too.
Yeah, she was pretty.
But she was. I forgot about her actually. So yeah, but I mean, as the years go on, the teams get more diverse. But literally when we grew up in the 90s, that's when it started to enter most of the diversity.
GW Bridge.
My man,
GW.
You know what? You know what name always pissed me off?
Yeah.
Dum Dum Dugan. That was such a retarded name for kind of a cool character.
It's from the 40s.
Still a dumbass
it's
name.
Same with Bucky. Like who's I was talking to somebody like, man, he still calling him up like a Bucky.
Some World War II shit.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because that's the one thing that I guess that when you were heavy into comics, because let's face it, like it's exactly what you were saying. Like most people that are like not really into comics don't realize that like comics are so revolutionary. You know, like you figure like X-Men, the story of X-Men in itself. I mean, hell, that's some deep shit.
It really is.
Kids when we were reading that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then you figure like the years that have gone on. So it's great to see like Black Panther #1 being sold out everywhere.
Exactly.
Like, it's awesome.
It really is.
You know, it's great seeing like Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
Yeah.
It's
good to see them get their own fucking shows, honestly.
Yeah.
Like they're getting more love than I feel like they ever have gotten, honestly, right now.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, like I knew who they were and I knew what their power sets were and everything like that, but I didn't read their comics when I was a kid.
Right.
And I didn't know too many people who did read their comics when I was a kid.
They were like the characters that if you're really, really into comics, you read them.
But I mean, when you're a kid, well, maybe I can only attest for me, but when I was a kid, all I wanted to see was fucking superpowers, flashing lights, like ninjas jumping around. Like I wanted to see like if a motherfucker was a superhero, the nigga had superpowers or some type of magic or some shit like that. Like it wasn't until I got older that I really started to appreciate the Daredevils and actually Spider-Man. I didn't think Spider-Man did anything but crawled on walls and shot webs. Like I had no idea what Spider-Man did until the fucking cartoon came out. And I was like, all right, we fucking with this nigga. Let me go ahead and check out some of the comic books.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like that's my thing. Like when you see something as a kid, you expect that one thing.
Right.
And unless you actually go into it. And like I said, I saw X-Men, I saw fucking I-beams and lightning bolts and claws. I was like, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
But you know what, man? I don't even know if this even connects to what we're talking about, but you know, when we were growing up, I mean, they had those Marvel cards, right? So they had the Marvel masterpieces, the X-Men flares, and like.
I mean, that's why you knew about people.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I gained so much knowledge of all these characters, and I knew who everybody was. And
Some
you got
of
to
them
see
I
their
didn't
power
see till I was an
sets.
adult.
Yeah, and they had the most random characters, and you read about them, and every year they would come out a different card set, and you're just like, oh, yeah, I like this card.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know. That's how I felt like I knew a lot of the characters and how I kind of like gained respect for. Even though I didn't read the comics, I still knew them and I still knew the stories.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I mean, like you said, it was just the wealth of knowledge that was there.
Yeah.
Shit, I knew more about Marvel. I still conclude that I know more about Marvel than either of the 2 degrees that I have. Like I can pretty much guarantee that.
I'm the same way, dude.
It is like no bullshit. It's like a religion.
It really
you know what I mean?
is.
Like for me, comic books is like, unfortunately, I gotta say it, but it is. It's like a religion. It's like, shit, I read the books. You know what
Exactly.
I mean?
I read the book. I reread the book.
Yep.
I know exactly what's going on in the book.
Exactly. I can tell you the whole mythos and how this person.
I'm telling you, I'm so retarded. Shit. I had the Dark Phoenix saga as one of those big books back in the day when I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that shit kept me occupied for months. Mm-hmm. I was rereading and rereading this thing. I still have it to this day. It's in terrible condition, and I have since replaced it for real.
Yeah.
But, like, that storyline, I still know front to back. I know everything that everyone says, like how nuanced it is, all that other shit. So when the storyline came around to X-Men the animated series, boy, I was in that joint studying. I was like, okay, how's it going to be different? How's it going to be different? Maybe that's why I'm so critical of my storylines when it comes to movies and shit like that. Yep. That's probably where it comes from. But like, I'm sitting there and I will say, X-Men animated series, you did a phenomenal job on the Dark Phoenix saga. You changed the characters up.
Is it that true to it though?
It's very true to it.
Okay.
And like most of the scenes are out of there scene for scene, especially the scenes when they fight the Imperial Guard.
Uh-huh.
Those scenes are from the show are pretty much the exact same ones from out of the comic book, except characters are changed around because of continuity problems and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like where in the comic book, when Wolverine and Storm get knocked into like the Watcher's house, basically, and he's like, "You can't be here," and kicks them back out, and they land on this cobblestone path.
Mm-hmm.
Earthquake comes and fucks up the whole thing, and Storm basically is like, yeah, your shit ain't shit, I control the air. So she starts to go to attack him, and then from behind, Hasara comes with the whip, fucks up Storm, and then Wolverine attacks her. Well, in the joint, it was Gambit who attacked her. Because Gambit was the one that was with her. They didn't get knocked into the house. They got knocked, I think, into a tunnel or some shit like that. Well, he got kicked into something, and she saved him, and they flew out and landed, and then it popped off just like that. But, I mean, it popped off just like the fucking comic book, just different characters.
Okay.
So it was very true to the story. And, I mean, it's the only animated X-Men joint, or it's the only animated Marvel joint that really followed a major storyline that followed it real close. But at least for what I read in the comic books, because I don't really know how close any of the Spider-Man joints were to the comic book.
Yeah,
I don't even know. I haven't seen the Spider-Man episode.
It was pretty loose.
Years.
Actually, the only one that I can say that was really close was one that came out a couple years ago, and I want to say it was like I want to say it was Superior. No, not Superior Spider-Man. Spectacular Spider-Man. The Spectacular Spider-Man run. That stayed pretty true to the comic book. But yeah, the one from back in the 90s, that shit was all over the place.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, the X-Men show was all over the place with their storylines too. So I mean, whatever. But,
that's true.
But no, like with the Dark Phoenix saga, anyway, they got it on point.
So like, last thing about Black Panther. So I haven't read it, but what I hear, I think it was the volume before this one, because I don't think they really have that many Black Panther volumes. But it's the one where John Romita Jr. draws it. They say that's one of the best Black Panther volumes to read.
Yeah.
So
when did it come out?
Who wrote it? Do you know?
I don't know. I just know it's John Romita. I mean, you can recognize John Romita Jr.'s art.
Jr., yeah.
Like, I'm not a big fan of his art, but they say that's like, I think that came out maybe like early 2000s, mid 2000s, or maybe even late 90s.
Wow.
Okay. I have to look online because you can find some of those for like $1.50.
But it's like really good. They say it's one of the best.
Yeah, because Romita Jr. for me, his art style for me is inconsistent. It's not that I don't like it. It's just like sometimes it looks good and then other times. Like,
hey, maybe he's the dude just doing Scarlet Witch right now.
You're under the time clock now, aren't you? Your publisher's telling you get that shit in tomorrow because that's what that shit looks like.
Because I'm not gonna lie, like the last issue of Scarlet Witch that I read, like the joint was beautifully drawn through the majority of the comic book, and then you get to the end fight scene where she's fighting some type of magical creatures, and it's like wherever she is, it's all black, and you can just see the red of her costume and the red of her using her powers against whatever it is that she's fighting, and that animation is terrible. I was just like,
yeah, that's what I've noticed. Well, I noticed it with the Generation X comic where they'll have different artists in the comic book. Where like one artist will do like the first 3 pages, and then the next artist will do the next 2, and then the artist that did the first 3 will do the last. And I'm like, what's the point of that?
Yeah, I never understood that anyway. Stupid. I mean, the fact that they flip-flopped artists throughout that series, I mean, just like the different levels of art and the different pieces of art that form that series of how it's drawn, it's ridiculous. I don't know why. It's like they couldn't commit to one artist for the majority of that series at all.
Yeah, and I don't like when comic books do that. You know, like for me, I like the consistency.
I like that shit.
I do too.
Exactly.
Which is why I think one of the reasons why X-Men and Uncanny X-Men were so popular, especially through the 90s, because that style of art, it went through the early 2000s before they started making everything trying to look like the X-Men movies.
Yeah.
So. Agreed.
Cat face beast.
Fart on that issue, please. Fart on that shit.
That's a wet one, man. You gotta check the
I think you sharted on that one.
Yeah, sharted on that one. Might want to check the trousers on that joint.
That shit's funny. Well, I mean, we talked about X-Men. We talked about Black Panther. I mean, y'all want to hit up and talk about some of these movie trailers that have been coming out?
Don't we start with Dr. Strange?
You want to talk about that, Johnny?
Yeah, they released the teaser trailer. I guess technically it was yesterday,
Is it a
right?
teaser?
Yeah. They said it was a teaser trailer. That was it. Well, I mean, you didn't really see anything, but
you only see that Saitama comes and
One Punch Man comes and fucking
y'all are on that joint.
But drops about his soul.
So I mean, okay, when this movie was like in development or whatever, or when it first was brought up that it was going to be made, people were saying that it wasn't going to be an origin movie. And this looks like an origin movie.
Well, I mean, what else can you do for Doctor Strange? I mean, Doctor Strange is not. I mean, he's a well-known character in Marvel lore, but like the common person that's going to watch the Avengers, they don't know him.
I'm glad it is an origin story but a lot of people were like, the way they're going to do it is that they're just going to have the origin as like a flashback.
That's what I think it's going to be too.
Really? Because in this trailer, it seems like that's a pretty big flashback.
It might be one of those. It might be one of those things that is revealed throughout the movie. So while shit is going on, you catch glimpses of what was going on to make him. Yeah, and then before the final battle, you see "You're now ready."
Right,
Stephen Strange.
Right, because they show that scene where he's going on the hospital bed and he has his hands up. And then they show the thing about him being a surgeon and all that. So you know that they're going to go with that part of the story. We already know it's not going to be the actual origin of Doctor Strange,
of course,
because the way that him and the Ancient One, that's not how he doesn't believe in the Ancient One.
Yeah.
It doesn't take the Ancient One to punch his soul out of his body for him to want to do it, That's the whole thing. So that's why I'm interested from knowing Doctor Strange is how Baron Mordo and Doctor Strange are going to be in this movie. Like, how are they going to play that?
Because Baron is bad guy, right? Obviously.
He's the bad guy, but he's also the student of the what's the guy's name?
The
Ancient One. I always want to call him the Wise One. I don't know why.
In the actual origin of it is that Mordo's the one that's using the black magic against the Ancient One. The Ancient One knows that it's Mordo, and it's kind of like one of those things where it's keep your enemy close.
Yeah.
And so that's why the Ancient One doesn't do anything and still plays like he doesn't know what's going on. Well, Strange finds out when he's like ready to leave and basically saying like magic's bullshit, like I don't want anything to do with it. When he's getting ready to leave, that's when he says that he sees that Mordo is casting these spells on the Ancient One. So he's going to go tell the Ancient One, well, Mordo casts a spell on him that he can't tell the Ancient One that, what's going on. So in order to help the Ancient One, he says that he wants to learn the magic.
Yeah, so that he can be the one,
so that he can fight against Mordo. But of course, even though this has been a short trailer, we kind of already know that that's not the way that this is going to go.
Exactly.
They're going to change it up a little bit, which is welcoming.
I mean, they've already changed up enough. I mean, Mordo was a black man, and the Ancient One is a British woman.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. The Ancient One is One Punch Man. So.
Is the Ancient One bald like that, though?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think he's supposed to have a
looks like the
Fu Manchu joint.
Yeah, he looks like the old Kung Fu movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did this would have been a perfect
would it be gangster though if they gave her a Fu Manchu?
That would have been great.
What?
If they gave the chick who's the wise one or the Ancient One the Fu Manchu.
But dog,
white outer eyes.
I don't see how Marvel could have capitalized. Okay, finally they put an Asian character in a fucking Marvel. Like, what is it about Marvel with not putting Asians?
You know what?
The Mandarin up.
But look at this. But look at this. There was no outrage that I saw over her being cast as the Ancient One.
I did see it on Instagram, but it wasn't that big.
Yeah, but then there was hella backlash for a white guy being put as Iron Fist, and everybody's like, "Oh, you should have gave it to an Asian." Blah blah blah.
Yeah, but Danny Rand,
he's white.
Danny Rand's white.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even know what his name was. You said Danny Rand. I was like, that's a white ass name.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why it kills me when you talk about like diversity in like the comic book field. Like, I understand that Hollywood whitewashes a ton of shit. We just had a movie about Egypt that was all white actors. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is that all about? But at the same time, it's like, you can't be calling out certain shit.
Yeah.
And for me, the fact that this chick, I always forget her fucking name, something Tilden.
She's big. She's big news.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that.
She's a great actress, and the thing is, like, let's be honest, Chiwetel Ejiofor being Baron Mordo, and Benedict Cumberbatch being Doctor Strange, they had to get a heavy hitter actor
of course.
in there. I mean, if they had gotten some, like, actor we didn't know about, it'd be like, what are you doing?
I feel like Marvel is doing that for their bigger stars, like their bigger star characters, because they need that. Like, you can't just throw a random fool in there like they did for Superman and be like, okay, this is the new Superman. Like, if they'd got like an established bomb ass actor to play Superman, Like that'd have been legit as shit. Like I feel like Superman would have come out a lot better. But I mean, hey, the proof is in the pudding in Marvel's case. I mean, they hired a bunch of people who are already established actors. I didn't think too much of Chris Evans because everything I knew him when was like fucking damn near not another teen movie. And all that shit.
Like a bunch of teen
yeah,
shit.
and then he was in the first Fantastic Four movie.
Right.
And he played a childish Human Torch. I mean, that's pretty much what he did in all the other movies.
Yeah.
Then he came with Captain America and knocked it the fuck out the park. And I was just like, okay, that was like my aha moment for him. It was just like the only time my aha moment for Ashton Kutcher, the only time I've ever taken that fool seriously was when he did the butterfly effect.
Dude, that movie's fucking sick, dude.
The movie is fucking bomb.
I love that movie, dude. I ain't gonna lie.
But like, that's the only movie that was just like, damn, this motherfucker can act.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was like the thing. And I mean, who knows what we'll see Chris Evans in after he lays down the shield. But I don't think he's ever going to go past Captain America. He will always and forever be Captain America. Yeah. It's just like fucking not Tony. His name is not Tony Stark. What the fuck is it? There you go, Junior man. He's always gonna be Iron Man.
Well, what's nice about Robert Downey Jr. Let's face it, with Tony Stark character, he is Tony Stark in real life. You know what I mean? Like when you really break it down. I mean, minus a couple figures.
True.
In his bank account, but he really is the character. You know? And
is he or is Charlie Sheen more? Okay. But Tony Stark.
Charlie Sheen is the Tony Stark when Tony Stark had the coke problem.
the alcoholism and the coke problem.
That's when he was. That's when he was the hardcore. Yeah, I mean you're right though. They do pick the actors. What's the guy? Why am I blanking on his name right now? The dude that plays Falcon.
Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie. I like that. I like that as a casting choice. I mean,
you know what? I like him because he's really the. I don't want to say he's the comic relief, but he has so many fucking funny lines.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just going to continue into this movie because of like the little intro shot that we saw. With when they introduced Ant-Man to the rest of the crew.
Yeah.
Like that just exchange between them and the fight between them actually and Ant-Man, you just see the funny qualities that come from Anthony Mackie. Like he's going to be a hard worker, but at the same time, he's going to be like the one that throws the jokes in there. He's going to be like the Hawkeye.
Well, the thing about Anthony Mackie, right, is the fact that he actually really wanted to be in a Marvel movie. Like I don't blame him. I read where he would email, like I don't know who he would email somebody in Marvel saying that he really wanted to be. It didn't matter who. He didn't know who he wanted to be, but he wanted to be in it.
My guy. I would have done the same. Are you fucking? Yeah. I would have rolled up on Stan Lee at Comic-Con and be like, "Nigga, put me in a movie, please. I know you got clout."
So like Kevin Feige, he saw that and he hired him obviously. So when somebody really wants to be in something, obviously they're gonna put their whole heart into it, And he does a good job being Falcon, I think.
Yeah,
I think he's a great actor.
Yeah,
and it's funny too because like before that, I'm not gonna lie, like.
He was in 8 Mile.
That's what he was in. That's what I was gonna say.
You know what? I didn't even realize he was in 8 Mile till I saw someone say it on TV the other day. I was like, damn,
Clarence, dude.
He made no impression on me then.
And that's what I was just about to say before you said 8 Mile. I was like, I know I saw him in a movie, but he was one of those that guy actors. You know, it was like, oh, it's that guy.
He was the guy that didn't rap anything in 8 Mile.
Yeah.
I think Marvel does a good job with that. I mean, I'm interested in seeing how Civil War is going to turn out. I mean, it's funny that meme that you sent me where it like showed where it's like Civil War in your mind.
Oh, and,
yeah. It's from the comic book because you're expecting all these characters, and then you just see like the two like 5-person teams or whatever it is running.
Civil War in real life.
Yeah, and then the other meme that I saw that I started laughing about too, when it was like, if you really break it down, Civil War is really just 10 angry people fighting in an airport fight.
Yes, that joint was hilarious.
I saw that shit because it is, but. Hell, I mean, that Disney money got it 100% critic rating right now.
All I know is that I think that this movie is going to, like, set the bar for the rest of these crazy storylines that they come up with in Marvel. So, like, if I feel, okay, Ant-Man has already been going for Ant-Man and the Wasp for the next joint.
Right.
Whatever storyline they come up for that joint is gonna be bomb. Because I'm telling you, I hated on the fact that they were even giving Ant-Man a movie.
Yep.
I have always been throughout history, like okay, I respect Hank Pym, the scientist. Yeah. I respect the fuck out of that man.
Right.
But Hank Pym as Ant-Man, get the fuck out of here. What the fuck am I gonna do with a motherfucker that shrinks down to the size of a thimble?
Yeah.
Like, nigga, I will step on you. But then again, like I said, I ain't read that shit, so I didn't know all this motherfucker's powers. All I knew was that he shrank and that he could talk to ants.
Right.
And that he could ride ants. That's all I knew. Then you hit Ant-Man and this nigga's got super strength and shit as a little motherfucker, and he's got super speed as a little motherfucker.
And he's a funny guy.
Yeah, and then did he have the gun that shrank shit too? Not in the movie, did he?
No, that was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
No, in the cartoon, in the cartoon, Ant-Man has a gun where it shoots pin particles and he can shrink shit or
for real?
throw it.
I don't know. He had that in the comic book.
Or he has a little thing on his thing that he goes click 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 and it goes whatever. Anyway,
I'm the same way with you.
I'm out here in space.
I didn't care about Hank Pym as Ant-Man. I didn't care about
Scott Lang.
Scott Lang. And
I didn't even know who the fuck Scott Lang was. That was new.
Yeah.
They said, okay, old man's gonna be who's gonna be the new one? Who the fuck is Scott Lang?
Yeah, Scott Lang's Ant-Man 2. And then there's Ant-Man 3. Like,
my guy, I was on Wikipedia in the movie theater looking up Scott Lang. Like, who the fuck is Scott Lang?
Yeah.
I knew who Scott Lang was. That's really the only Ant-Man I knew. You know, because like Hank Pym was Ant-Man long ago, because then he became
Yellow Jacket.
Yeah, and so Scott Lang was like the Ant-Man for our generation, I guess.
I guess so, but I still had no idea. I only knew Pym. I only knew Pym.
I didn't care about him. In fact, I probably knew more about Wonder Man than I knew about.
Mr. Ion Iraniator or whatever you want to call it,
yeah.
Ion Skin and
I'm
shit.
surprised they don't bring him in the movies.
I mean, he wasn't an Avenger for a long time. I mean, he was like
West Coast.
Yeah, he was Avengers West Coast staple.
Yeah. So unless they're gonna do an Avengers West Coast,
they ain't gonna do that. Don't do that. Because it's like Hawkeye's gonna leave the joint and then go form his own shit. I mean, West Coast Avengers was cool, but no, they don't need to do that.
Going back to the movie, right? So what I've heard is that Spider-Man actually has a lot more screen time than what people expected.
Really?
Yeah, they say he has at least 20 to 30 minutes in that movie.
Now wait a minute.
Sony needed a good movie.
Now for this movie, you've got all the motherfuckers that are supposed to be in it, except for Thor and the Hulk, right?
True. Yeah, I forgot about Thor.
But then you've got Thor and Hulk have been now replaced by the Vision and the Scarlet Witch.
Pretty much, because Bruce Banner's flying around the world. So I'm guessing that we'll find we'll get Amadeus Cho eventually, I guess.
My thing is, so you've already got that squad, that same sized squad that they had before.
Mm-hmm.
But then you add in Falcon, you add in War Machine, you add in Winter Soldier, you add in Black Panther, and now Spider-Man. That's like dangerously close to fucking Batman versus Superman amount of characters to add into a movie. Now Batman versus Superman, like I didn't know how they were going to do that. I was talking about that forever. Mm-hmm. But they did their email or whatever. They ain't gonna do that.
The way they would introduce the character. Okay,
they're not gonna do that, because you already see. You saw that one clip where they're fighting. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I saw one clip where Winter Soldier is fighting all of the Avengers, and it looks like it's in their complex, and T'Challa's in there with them.
Oh wow, yeah.
So I don't know if he's a part of the squad before they break off or whatever. But I mean, Tony Stark, the Witch is in there. Now, there was another blonde chick. I was telling Miguel earlier, there was a blonde chick who I didn't know who was in there. Mm-hmm. I was thinking maybe it's maybe Mockingbird.
Isn't it the chick from Civil War? Not Civil Winter Soldier? The one that she was like the protective one. She like lived next door to her. It's Peggy
she was
Carter's niece or daughter or whatever.
I doubt it, because she was fighting Winter Soldier too.
Was she? Well, I don't know.
I mean, was she I can't recall that character off the top of my head. So
the only thing that I can say about it is that we know that Bucky has already been in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So they don't really need to introduce him. We got Vision, Scarlet Witch,
all introduced in the last movie.
Yeah, from Age of Ultron. We've got
But I mean, that's still that just
Ant-Man had his own movie.
Yeah.
So at least that's there. Falcon's been in these movies.
Yeah. War Machine's been introduced
in 3 movies now?
I think so.
Yeah,
because he was in the 2.
So the only ones you really got to worry about are Spider-Man and T'Challa.
So they're gonna and let's be realistic about it. I mean, Spider-Man doesn't really need an introduction.
Hell no.
Everyone
Are you
knows
fucking
who
serious?
Spider-Man is, and that's fine. And then T'Challa, I think at this point, most people are interested to see Black Panther, the character, because even if you don't know about the character, right now, I mean, social media is like blowing up with all that shit, Like anything I look at that's comic related, they talk about T'Challa and Wakanda and all the backstory of it, and I think that's enough to entice people to say, okay, well, what is this? Like, what am I actually looking at? And the fact that you're going to get a character that's richer than Tony Stark.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly,
better technology and everything else, they're going to beast him up.
There's a lot of different fictional countries in the Marvel universe. Mm-hmm. I mean, Wakanda comes, of course, is the first one that comes to mind. Then you've also got where's the place the Mandarin stays? I can't remember the name of that place.
One. What about the place where Dr. Doom stays? Latveria.
Oh, Latveria. That's right. And that one's in Western Europe somewhere.
Yeah.
God damn, where did the place where Wolverine is known as Patch? I can't remember what that island is called. It's in Asia.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It starts with an M.
Yeah.
Madripoor.
Yeah, Madripoor. Yeah. You got Madripoor, and you've also had Genosha, which was in Africa. Yep. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see one of those places actually brought into the Marvel continuity, because everywhere else that they've gone has already been established.
But weren't they in Wakanda? And
they were in Wakanda before, but you didn't really, like, they said it was Wakanda, but they didn't give you nothing about Wakanda.
Said Wakanda in words on the bottom.
Yeah, and the only reason...
See, like, the city, and
exactly.
It's like the most technologically advanced.
Exactly, and it was a bomb city that they fucking destroyed. Yeah. But at the same time, the only thing that even queued it up to me that it was Wakanda was because it was full of black people.
Right.
Like I didn't when I went and watched it on DVD. Yeah, I saw that it said Wakanda and all that shit.
No, they mentioned it. Bruce Banner was like, it's a place called Wakanda.
Yeah, and I remembered that. Oh, I remembered that after when I watched it the second time. But like when I was actually looking at the screen, I was like, where the fuck are they? They got to be in Africa somewhere. All these black people running around.
I mean, they got Asgard too.
That's true. I mean, that's a different dimension. It's not a different country. Yeah, it's not a fictional country.
They got New York City.
Hey, New York City is New York City.
Fictional.
Fictional ass city.
No bull.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm interested to see what's gonna happen with Civil War. I think I think it's interesting though. Like, it's funny to me how it's 100% critic rating. Like, to me, that's like the most.
But I mean, it's like
the most suspect shit.
It was only like 1 or 2 critics or something that had given the rating or some shit like that.
Nah, it's like 5.
Or was it 5? Okay. Well, I mean, what does that say? I mean, of course, the fans are going to give it a hell of a high score.
Oh yeah, the fan. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this movie, if the fan rating is higher than the critic rating.
Of course.
At the end of it all.
But I mean, if these critics continue to give it high scores like this and it stays high. Man,
it better be a good movie. Then.
Man,
I think this is gonna be a good movie.
Because if it's not a good movie and the critic score stay high,
man,
all I'm gonna say is that Mickey Mouse money.
all I'm really gonna say about it is that I think this movie is gonna be great, but at the same time, this movie cannot be the best one of Phase 3. Like, because you've got Thor's joint coming up, Doctor Strange is coming up, Ant-Man 2 is coming up.
Yeah. Whoa, I thought this was like the end of Phase.
Was this the end of Phase 2?
Or I don't know.
I thought Ultron was the beginning of Phase 3.
I don't know. Maybe I'm like.
I don't know. I think I thought Guardians 2 was the beginning of Phase 3.
Okay. See, I don't know.
I thought that was because I thought it was November 2016 is Strange. I thought that's the end of Phase 2. I
always thought Strange and Civil War were in Phase 3 for some reason.
Okay, maybe you're right, dude.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Know.
I just always picture Civil War being like a last movie because everybody's battling for the end.
Well, I mean, either way, it can't be the last one to be like to look this good. Like it can't be such a great movie and then all the rest of it by comparison is just straight fucking trash. Like it can't do that. Like there's too many movies. There's too much shit that they can. It's too.
I don't know.
Really,
man.
they've got
Marvel be.
But when was the last time that Marvel turned out a dud?
Like a real, just a stinker.
Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3 is pretty bad.
The movie that shall not be named.
Iron Man 3 is some straight.
How long ago was Iron Man 3? Was that 2000?
That's like 3 years ago.
I erased that shit from my memory.
That's like 3 years.
Well, besides Iron Man 3, when was the last time that Marvel Studios? I'm not talking about old Fantastic Four or the X-Men
they haven't really made like a straight movies. dud.
Yeah, so I mean, like...
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I would say that the only dud that they made was that Iron Man 3 crap. that movie was complete butt
as actually a fan of the Mandarin as a bad guy, I was so blown with that movie.
Dude.
I was expecting... I was hyping it up. I was like, yo, he got the Mandarin. They talking about the 10 rings. My nigga is about to be on. And I don't even know Iron Man and the Mandarin like that. I just know that the Mandarin is badass. Because I remember in the X-Men... There was a short series where when Psylocke first got her body switched, the Mandarin was using her to steal rings or some shit like that. So like I I know the Mandarin is badass, but yo, that movie it destroyed a little piece of my soul. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, so I just got this looked up for us here. So it was Phase 3 is Civil War.
I like that. Appreciate it.
Appreciate
that work.
And Doctor Strange.
So that's the start.
Okay, so yeah, it was a start.
Then you got Guardians of the Galaxy 2. You got an untitled Spider-Man movie, and then Thor Ragnarok.
That's all Phase 3?
Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War Part 1. So Infinity War Part 2 is when we're going to start the next phase.
Jesus.
So
we got a fuck ton of movies coming out.
Fuck yeah.
But you guys know about the Spider-Man movie being called Homecoming, right?
Yeah, that is such a stupid title. Even if it's a working title, it's a stupid title.
Yeah, they got time.
But I mean, I understand it. Like we kind of discussed this before, where it technically could be seen as the homecoming of him to Marvel Studios.
I know it was like a double thing.
Yeah, double entendre type thing. But it's such a terrible title. I just want to know who they're planning on the bad guy being.
Oh, so what I've heard is Michael Keaton is going to be playing the Vulture.
I like it.
I fuck with it.
You like it?
Yeah, because first of all, I like Michael Keaton.
I like Michael Keaton.
I do like Michael Keaton.
Not only that, I think that
the Vulture.
I think Marvel Studios will be able to do the Vulture. I think they'll be able to pull it off
now,
in a not cheesy way.
Are they going to be able to do one solid villain for this movie, or are they going to be like the last 4 Spider-Man movies and everyone has double villains?
Well, you know what, man? I think Marvel's going to stick to one, hopefully.
Because what was it, Sandman and Venom in one movie?
Yeah.
Terrible. Electro and what was the other guy that was in it? Green Goblin? No, I'm sorry. You don't need 2 in a movie.
Amazing Spider-Man 2, them motherfuckers put Hobgoblin, they put fucking Electro, they put Rhino.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then they showed all the Sinister Six costumes at the end. Like they basically were like, "Fuck it, we're speeding through this fucking."
Wow,
dude, that shit was fucking.
And the Rhino costume was horrible.
Oh,
it was like a fucking big ass rhino-sized hydraulic suit.
This is the thing, though, is that the only thing that I can think about with them doing Vulture is that are they going to do a suit that's going to be similar to Falcon?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking about. It's going
to be a tech suit.
But it's going to have to be. I mean, unless the nigga's part bird or some shit like that.
But
I would actually laugh.
They called me the Vulture because I'm the son of a man and a vulture.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be like a forest green.
Click that nigga Pinwheels. He ain't going nowhere.
but at the same time, it's the suit that gives him the powers,
yeah, it's the
right?
suit. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
So it'll probably be like we always see now. It's going to be like some technical.
Watch him make it look like the Vulture from the Spider-Man 2099. Dog.
I don't remember what he looks
like.
Oh,
dude, that Vulture was terrible looking.
I don't remember what that fuck did. I just remember Vulture in the Spider-Man cartoon from back in the 90s where he was young.
Oh,
and he had hair.
Yeah.
He used to absorb people's energy so he could get young.
Yeah, I think Michael Keaton, though, I think he can definitely pull off the character. I mean,
I'm telling you, they get established motherfuckers. Yep. Like, is it Kevin Spacey that was Ultron's voice?
No,
it wasn't Kevin Spacey. It was
wasn't it James Spade?
Yes.
Yeah, James Spade did Ultron.
I'm sorry, a lot of people did not like his voice as Ultron. I thought he was tight.
It was good. I mean,
I thought he was tight.
What the fuck do you expect an intelligent robot to sound like? What? You know what I mean? Like
the only thing I didn't like about
Cat Williams.
Dude. Were people complaining about his voice?
I heard a few people complain about, or I read about it, and I've heard of people talking to a couple people. They did not like Ultron's voice. I was like, what didn't you like about it?
The only thing I heard about people didn't like about Ultron was the fact that he kept making jokes. Now, looking back, I don't know if it... Well,
maybe then Cat Williams was...
Maybe. I don't know.
The only thing I didn't like about Ultron was his face. He looked stupid. He had teeth. It's just so dumb.
Did he have teeth?
Yeah, they put this dumbass mouth, and he just had pupils. And
he was trying to look as human as possible.
Yeah.
For somebody who was so superior and hated humans, he was trying his goddamn best to look like one.
Yeah, you're right about that. No, I don't know. I'll give it a shot. I think I agree with y'all though. I think the title Homecoming is
terrible.
Fucking stupid. Yeah. Honestly,
they should just call it Spectacular Spider-Man.
They should have just called that shit Spider-Man and acted like none of them other joints even existed.
Yeah,
like,
why not?
Like, I know all the people love, like I like, out of all the Spider-Man movies that we've seen so far, I think my favorite one was Spider-Man 2.
Same here.
Yeah, definitely.
That one was my favorite one. I like Willem Dafoe. I think he's a fun actor and shit like that. But even Spider-Man 1, I think that for me it was more the nostalgia of finally seeing Spider-Man on the big
It was like
screen
X-Men for me back in the day. It
Right.
was just like, oh my god, it's finally here.
But Spider-Man 2, I thought was a good movie.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed that movie. The rest of them, fuck it.
I just don't want to see an origin story. Honestly, I could give two shits if it's an origin story. I don't want to see Uncle Ben die again. No. I don't want to hear him being a little bitch over the whole thing. I don't give a fuck. Let Spider-Man be fucking married to Mary Jane somewhere in Queens, with expecting a kid, and he's still living this life, doing all this and shit. He knows he's Spider-Man. He got a fucking job. Like, just fucking jump into the shit. We all know enough about Spider-Man from like 3 different origin stories. We don't need another one. And Marvel, if you give us another one, it's gonna be whack. I'm sorry, that's whack as shit.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how good you make it, it's just gonna be like, God damn, we gotta watch this again.
But
like,
I'm saying, like, they got the actor, he's pretty young, so I figured they're probably gonna make him in high school, you know, and they're probably gonna have the whole story of him meeting Mary Jane.
Well, he'll probably be post his uncle's death. What I'm hoping that they'll do is exactly what you said. They don't do an origin story, but Marvel is really good at doing flashbacks.
Yeah.
So I think we'll get a flashback sequence, and that will be your quote-unquote
just as long as it's not
origin.
that long.
In fact, you know what? Do it in the fucking credit or in the
beginning. The opening credits.
Opening credits. Have it like a flash thing where you see him get bit by a spider. You know, all of that kind of shit, and then we jump in, and then they can do like the 5 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to do in timeline, and then we're
because
there.
I'm telling you, I'm sorry, I hate to go back to this goddamn movie, but watching the Waynes die again, like, I was just like, look, and it was like a 5-minute scene, dog. I literally like looked at the counter to see how long it was. It was like a 5-minute scene, like something that I've seen multiple times before. I don't need to see again.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, that's the one thing that kind of kills me with these movies is like, why do they keep going back and doing origin stories for movies that we already seen the origin for before? I mean, the same thing with like Fantastic Four. What the fuck you need another origin story for?
Except they changed this one up completely, so I mean, I guess.
I still haven't seen that movie. I'm not watching
I
that
refuse
shit.
to watch that movie, honestly.
I bootlegged it.
I refuse. Actually, I did bootleg it, but I never saw it.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
Whatever. I'm not even, whatever. Moving on.
Yeah, dude. Alright, so last movie, Suicide Squad. All that Marvel shit we talked about, let's talk about DC.
Okay.
Okay. What do you guys think about this? Because apparently from the whole, I guess, backlash of Batman vs Superman, which in the end was it was a successful movie, but they said they went back to reshoot scenes in Suicide Squad? Like, is that true? To make it more, like, humorous or something?
I mean, it's always a possibility. I mean, that's what happened with Fantastic Four. They went back and reshot scenes. Because of whatever reason. I don't know what it is. Shitty. Yeah, so... Yeah. Well, I heard the reason that it came out shitty was because they went and reshot the scenes. It was the way that, like, the studio wanted it instead of the way that the director wanted it. Apparently, the way the director wanted it, you're going to see a lot more shit. Because, I mean, if you think about it, everything that was in the fucking trailer for that movie didn't end up... Well, you guys didn't see it, but everything that was in that trailer was not in that movie.
Okay. Yeah, I mean... I'm weird with Suicide Squad, to be honest with you, because when we saw that the very first trailer, and it looked like it was going to be like this deep, dark movie.
It was, pretty serious,
and
right?
And people were like, oh, this is, like, I heard like all the DC fanboys being like, this is great, this is exactly what we wanted, and for me, it's Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
what the fuck you talking about? Like, the thing that makes Harley Quinn fun is because she's a fun character.
Yeah,
exactly. She's a psychotic fun character, you know what I mean? So... it was like I wanted there to be funny things with it. So when I saw the second trailer that came out, when they had the Queen,
they had
the Queen, it was a little bit different.
Music, I was like, all right, I can get into this. Now the one thing I still will not be able to get over is fucking emo Joker.
You still don't like that?
That shit to me is stupid.
That shit,
just, and I understand, like, this is what I guess that I'm having the hardest part with. People are saying, well, they had to do something to get people over the Heath Ledger Joker. But the Heath Ledger Joker was his own Joker.
Yeah.
We didn't see nothing like that before, and we're probably never going to see anything like that again because it's such an iconic Joker. Jack Nicholson's Joker was his own Joker, but the thing was, it was the same look. They didn't change the look of the Joker. So why in Suicide Squad, why the fuck are they changing the Joker's look to have tattoos and like
Grills.
all this? Have a fucking grill and shit.
Driving
like,
Lamborghini.
Yeah, fucking Paul Wall playing fucking Joker. Like, this shit is stupid. Like, it's dumb as fuck.
I guess they're
is this
trying
early
to
2000s Joker.
they're trying to
so
appease
bad.
more of, I guess, the crowd of today, which is more of that style, the tight clothes, really skinny, tattoos all over the place. Not saying that a lot of older heads don't have tattoos, but but I mean, the Joker is pretty much styled after the way people dress today.
Yeah.
He's dressed, he's more in a hipster emo style, which is what is fucking hot today.
Well, the thing is, though, is like, for me, I feel like you don't really need the Joker, though. Like, in the Suicide Squad
I never understood
movie.
why he was in it. When y'all told me he wasn't actually in the squad, I was like, so why the fuck is he in it?
Right. It didn't make sense to me, because the thing is realistically, Harley Quinn is everywhere. You don't even have to go to just Comic-Cons.
Yeah.
And, like, it's not a comic book thing anymore. Like, you can go to a random fucking store in the mall and find a fucking Harley Quinn t-shirt.
Hot Topic,
like,
more likely,
and even in, like, regular department stores, you can find that shit now. So it's not like she's not an iconic character to bring people into the movies.
True.
So, you know, and then not only that, like, you're going to have Batman show up in this movie for a scene. You're going to have all this stuff happening.
Seriously? Oh, man.
And I think that that's where DC is really shooting itself in the foot, is like, they're just giving us way too much and expecting us to care.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I'm a DC fan saying this. You know, like, for me, I like we were joking about, like, never watching the Supergirl show.
Yeah.
You know, I actually watched the fucking show because they had, I heard Martian Manhunter was in it. So I watched the Martian Manhunter episode, and then I watched the crossover with The Flash. So for me, if it's something that I like with DC, I'm more than willing to give it a chance and see how it is. And I actually enjoyed the way they did Martian Manhunter in that show.
Okay.
So for me, as a DC fan, stuff like that entices me. But also as a DC fan, if I don't want to see this shit, and I feel like you're pushing too much at an audience way too quickly, I mean, how do you expect a casual viewer who doesn't know anything about this stuff to take this?
That's true. And I mean, I'm not a DC fan. So when I first saw the Suicide Squad trailer, and I was very vocal about it from the jump, even back when we did videos when we were talking about the trailer coming out, I had no interest in it whatsoever. I was like, I don't know none of these characters except Harley Quinn. I don't especially like Harley Quinn. I mean, I think she's a cool character, but like she's not something I'm looking to go seek. I'm not seeking her.
Right.
So if she's there, cool. Whatever. But at the same time, this new trailer actually makes me want to see the movie.
Yeah.
Because, and I mean, the reason I want to see the movie now is because you actually get more of a look at the actual characters in it, and you see them interacting with each other and doing their business or whatever it is. So you actually like get a sense of these characters, and it's just like, okay, now because they didn't show you what any of them could do. Now, I knew Harley Quinn had no powers.
Right.
I knew whoever Will Smith is has no powers.
Yeah. That's
so the only person I knew that had powers for sure was the guy who looks like an alligator.
Killer Croc.
Was that Killer Croc?
Yeah, Killer
okay,
Croc.
Good.
So Killer Croc is like, Killer Croc is ultra strong.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I know who Killer Croc is,
And
believe
then
me.
Enchantress is in there, and she has powers. So she's going to
Okay.
be a
And what about
pretty
the
cool
dude who
character.
shoots fire with the skull tattoos all over
Spanish
him?
guy.
Oh,
Diablo or something.
Diablo.
Okay, yeah. I had no idea none of these motherfuckers had any power because I haven't seen any clips of Enchantress. I've seen that one clip of Diablo where he shot fire after Will Smith pissed him off.
Right.
Like, and I was just like, oh, niggas got actual powers in this joint.
Yep.
Let's pay attention to this joint a little closer, watch it again. I was like, okay, they're interacting with each other. They are cracking jokes with each other. They fucking, sit down and have drinks together. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is something I'd be interested to check out now that I've actually seen how these characters are going to be, like, or at least have a glimpse of how they're going to be. I'm not just walking into this joint looking at like 6 or 7 motherfuckers just walking off into the sunset together in their silhouette. Like, what the fuck am I gonna supposed to be interested in that?
Right.
What the fuck?
No.
And I feel like when the teaser trailer came out for that, it was specifically geared towards DC fans who would know what Suicide Squad was.
Exactly.
And it was just like, if you look at it, I'll go back and even say, I didn't know shit about Guardians of the Galaxy. I knew who they were, but I didn't know shit about them.
Right.
And then when their teaser trailer came out, it looked sick. And it was just like, I'm going to have to go watch this to find out what the fuck's going on.
Right.
Suicide Squad, I did not get that at first.
No.
Now with this trailer, I'm definitely more interested in it. It's like,
are you going to watch anything?
about 60%. if they release, when was it coming out?
I don't know.
I think it's June.
Probably.
That means they'll probably have one more trailer come out for it, and if that trailer is really good, I'll be like, all right, I'm like 80%.
Dog, I'll be honest with you, I'm more excited for this movie than Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
Hey,
I don't know. Maybe it's because like I've seen so many Batman and Superman shit. Like,
True.
These are new characters. I mean, it's the first time Harley Quinn's been in a movie.
And she's going to be a central focus from what I understand.
I'm sure.
So has a lot of people in it, and whatever, dude.
It's funny, yeah.
I mean, they've got some good actors in that too. Like, what's her face? Is the chick who's in charge?
Oh, Amanda Waller?
Yeah, Amanda Waller is played by the chick from How to Get Away with Murder. I can't remember her name.
She's a great actress.
Viola Davis.
Yeah, she's a great actress.
She's a great actress. So I can't wait to see what she brings to that role. Like, and I don't even know who this chick is. Oh, I know she's a Fed, right?
Amanda Waller, she heads the agency that's in charge of the Suicide.
You know how
she's
she's an
Fed.
awesome actor, Will Smith.
Excellent.
Excellent actor. Can't wait to see him chop it up in that joint.
You know what's funny though with Will Smith, and I'm going to say this: I was so pissed when they said that Will Smith was going to be Deadshot. I really was.
Oh, is that who he is?
Yeah, he's Deadshot. So I was like, you know what? This is going to be stupid.
Let me guess,
like,
Deadshot white.
Really stupid. Well, he is, but I don't give a fuck about that part.
Yeah, I'm just fucking.
My whole point of it was I'm like. Will Smith is gonna like do his corny fucking dad jokes, like gonna do all this stupid shit he does in all his movies. But the thing that's funny is what you said. I saw him in the trailer, and there's the one scene when he has the Deadshot mask on, and he's just fucking
he's going,
like
he's
lighting
going.
everybody up in that office. It's like, all right, well, let's see what. And I think that's the thing too. I think that a lot of these trailers, like we're talking about trailers, Batman vs Superman. When we did our review on YouTube for it. Like I said, they showed us a lot of that fucking movie in the trailer. That's what we're starting to learn is that these movies, Deadpool is another one. Like how I felt about Deadpool. I thought it was an alright movie, not because I didn't think that it was a funny movie, not because I didn't think it was a good movie. It was because when I saw it, I was like, well, I've already seen most of this.
Yeah.
So the rest of the stuff that you're giving me is just bonus.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
I've
Already seen.
And I feel like that's a lot of what goes on with these trailers. But in the case of a movie like Suicide Squad, it piques your interest a little bit more because again, you don't know a lot. The casual viewer doesn't know a lot about these characters.
Yeah.
So going into it, it's good to give them that. So again, why put the Joker in there? Why put Batman in there?
True.
Why put these things in there when you could give people something new?
Very true.
Build off.
It's a good way to look at it.
Build your fucking universe, DC.
Now, we are getting close to cutting this off for the evening, but I want to ask you guys real quick, and I mean quick, your views on the new X-Men Apocalypse trailer. Go.
Oh, I know. You said you liked it, right?
Well, okay. So I saw the 3D version of it. Okay. And I like the fact that it's actually shot in 3D. Like that this is not a movie that threw 3D elements into it. It's actually shot in it. So I think that part of it is interesting. I still hate the fact that Apocalypse looks like a Power Ranger villain. I think that shit is so fucking stupid.
I will say that they did turn Apocalypse blue at some point.
That shit's funny.
He did turn blue, but I'm upset that he doesn't have the lines around his mouth that go like up the side of his head or whatever. Like
the look of the character. My whole thing is that I've been disappointed so much, time and time again, by all these fucking X-Men movies. Like I don't like a single one. There's not one of them. There's scenes that I can tell you that I like, but there's not a single one. But there are scenes in this movie that I saw, like there's one with Psylocke. Yeah. That she like jumps and then she brings the blade out and like it hits, and when you see it in the 3D trailer, like the blast comes at you. Oh wow. And that shit's pretty dope. Like you're like, oh man, that's fucking tight.
But what's funny about that scene is I was talking with my friend about this, and we were talking about the trailer, and that scene where Psylocke jumps, it's weird because when she jumps, it's like she turns small and then she turns big. it's kind of like they enlarged her. You know what?
She Ant-Man.
Oh no,
You know what I
because
mean?
didn't she jump from like far to close
That's what
or
I'm
something
saying.
like that?
But she didn't really jump from far to close. It's like whatever they did in the movies, they enlarged it, and it just looks so random, dude. It just looks dumb, man. I don't know.
My thing is this: I can't give Fox my money on X-Men movies anymore. So will I be seeing this in the movie theater? Absolutely not. Fox, do yourselves a favor and sell the shit back to Marvel. Just keep Deadpool. Deadpool in the deal.
I'm gonna say what I told my boy Johnny. I think that this has the possibility to be the best X-Men movie that they've done, or quite possibly one of the worst.
You know what, man? I don't think it's going to be the worst. I mean, dude, they've been making X-Men movies for 15 years now.
Yeah.
I think, you know what, man? I think they probably look back, learn from the mistakes. And
Learn from X-Men 3.
I think so, man, because I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to watch this shit, but I can't lie. I mean, I think the trailer does look somewhat good. It looks a little darker, and and the production looks really nice. It looks sharp since it's, shot in 3D. And I think some of the scenes look really dope where it showed, like, Magneto and doing, I don't know what he was doing. And it showed, there's this one joint where, Archangel is like, he kind of like faces forward to the camera and his like wings like
they shoot out the joints.
Yeah, that looked. I mean, that
joint did look tight.
That looked tight.
There's a lot of good looking scenes.
Yeah. There's a lot of good looking
movie.
But I mean, I think that movie is somewhere around 2 hours, 2.5 hours also. So
that's the other shit, man. They gotta stop doing these like that.
Or make them into 2 parts.
Yeah, 2-parted. God damn.
And release it one at the beginning of the year, one at the end of the year.
Yeah.
You know what, man? I don't really care about the 2.5 hour joint, because when I saw The Dark Knight, that joint was well over 2.5, and I felt like that shit went by fast. If the movie's good, you don't even notice it, man.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
That's very true, though. But I think the only reason I noticed it during Dark Knight was because I had to piss. Fuck around, made a mistake of getting a soda that day.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't good. But yeah, no. I kind of I stick by what I said. It's either going to be one of the best or one of the worst. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you make the movie better than Paul Blart Mall Cop, because I guess that's like the standard now that Superman versus Batman is worse than that movie according to the critics. So if you can make it a step above that, then X-Men Apocalypse, you'll be okay. You'll be all right, Fox.
We'll see.
You're like, we'll see.
And on that hopeful note,
we'll see. We'll see what's up with that guy.
All right, guys. We're on that hopeful note. We're going to end it right there tonight. As always, we thank you guys for listening and sharing and subscribing and liking. Shout out to all the listeners from all over the globe. I know you weren't here when we were talking about that last time, but we've got fucking listeners in like Pakistan and Vietnam and of course the UK and South Africa.
There's probably people thinking it's one thing, they're like, oh fuck, this
probably.
is what I want to hear.
But hey, they keep clicking.
Keep clicking.
So shout out to everybody who listens all over the world. Appreciate you guys. Like you said, like I said, like, share, subscribe. Also check out the other podcasts. We've got the video game podcast, the wrestling podcast, the music podcast. And check out our channel, youtube.com/systempsycho, SYSTEMSYKO.
Yeah.
And that's about it for us today, guys. So I guess we'll get the hell up out of here on that note. So for the Combo Crew, we'll peace out.
Peace.